Okay, so up until this point, we've been doing our automatic push-pull. So if I choose the rectangle selection tool, I want to create my rectangle. I can just automatically push-pull. I have to do it right after creation. If I do another operation, it won't allow me to do that automatic push-pull. I can go in and then also draw on top of this face, for instance, and automatic push pull up. If I want to add to my solid, I make sure that I press the option key when I click to specify the distance. Again, I can go back. If I'm not able to, I want to make sure I'm highlighting the face that I'm drawing onto. If that isn't an option, if that's not showing up, I want to make sure it's on this automatic plane, not a layer or screen plane. So I'm going to draw another rectangle. I'm going to push pull it down this time and press option, and that will subtract. It says solid subtraction. In my object info palette, I can double click and go in, and that takes me into the solid addition. And then I can also double click and go within my solid addition and modify the solids within the solids. Okay, so that's the automatic push pull. I can also, for instance, if I draw a rectangle and then I draw another rectangle, this one I can push pull, this one I can't. You can see how the cursor's different, but I can go Shift R, which takes me into my push pull, and I can automatically push pull. Now there's three options to our push pull. There's the extrude face, there's move face, and then there's sub face mode. So if I drew an arc on this face, I want it a little bit smaller, there we go. Okay, I can go into my push pull and I can select this subface mode. I want to select both my arc, my curved object, and my extrude, and I can see when I do that, it divides this face by that object. So now I can push pull this up, and I can see that it's used that curve to create that extrude. I can also do this with a line as well. Oops. I want to make sure I'm on the face, endpoint to endpoint. Now, if I go Shift R into my push pull, if I wasn't in my subface mode, I could use my U key to toggle. I'm going to select both the modifying object and my extrude. Then I can go in and push pull that face up, and I can see I've divided that line, okay? Or divided that face and push and pull it up. I can also move face, so it's just we'll play with that some more later. But this is the standard push pull face mode. That's better before we need to taper some faces. So I can go in and I can taper a face. So what I want, okay, there's two steps to this process. I need to pick the face that's going to be the axis. So say for instance, I wanted to taper this face and I wanted to bring this edge out. That face is then pivoting on this face. Does that make sense? So I'm locking this edge and I'm moving this edge. So whatever edge I'm locking it to this face then. I'm selecting that face and then I can bring this face and bring it out.
Wow.
Okay? Does everybody understand that? So there's two steps. The first step is your face that you're locking or your axis. So for instance, if
Can you do that one more time?
for sure. So this is the taper face. So for instance, now if I want to pull this edge out, I'm going to lock this edge, this face, and then I select this face and I'm going to taper it out that
Are
way.
you clicking anything to lock it in, or do you just click it?
Just click it. So I have to click the face that's the axis. Then I have to click the face that I'm tapering. And when I do so, it brings up my taper angle and I can change it. So I can even go like that. Okay, so that's taper face. I can also deform this. So there's multiple deform options. The first one is my twist, and it twists the entire solid. So I'm going to select this solid. It brings up this rotation tool, this protractor. I'm going to click it on the center. This is my starting angle, and I'm twisting it 90 degrees, and you can see how it twists the entire solid. It locks the base, and then every face up gets twisted. Now that's this twist solid. I can also just twist the face. So we'll see how, oh no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to place it up. So this one's a bit different. You can see how it locked that bottom a little bit. This one's going to be a better, I'll do another shape to better.
So could you like twist something all the way up?
Yeah.
Like make it like spiraling?
Yeah. So what are you going to change then? You're going to change, the angle that you twist it is going to be, so I'm just going to draw, first of all, I'm going to, so I'm going to make sure I'm adding the solid, so I'm pressing the Option key, because otherwise it's going to just twist them separately. So now I'm going to go into my deform, I'm going to twist face. So I'll show you the difference with this object is going to work a bit better. So here, I twist the entire solid. Actually, I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to go, so here I'm going around, I wonder. So I'm going to tab in and see, so let's say 460. Right, so we have to think about how many rotations we're doing then.
So what did you type in?
I did 460 because I was just like, I was trying to do the math. It's like, so 360 obviously is one rotation. We're doing triple, double, triple, right? So 720 is going to give us our.
I don't know if it was.
What's that one that you like made like the hollow water slide like thing?
Is that
The
the slide?
With the
sweep,
Sweet.
Oh no.
hollow water
Oh yeah,
slide.
maybe it was a sweep tool.
Yeah, so the sweep tool, again, if you're doing multiple rotations, then you're doing, so it asks for your sweep angle. So you're going to put in either 360, it's going to go one rotation, or I did times 8 and it did a screw, right?
Okay.
So then I did,
I love it. The sweep tool. I forgot what that was called.
yeah, so that's the sweep tool. So that was the deform the whole solid. So now if I go twist face, what's going to happen, my starting angle, it's just going to twist that top portion because it locks this bottom face and only twists that top, okay? I can also taper. So this one I'm going to, so I can taper it in, or I can taper it out. So you have to do your, oh, and can you, so see it tapers in, I can also taper it out. That is tapered out just slightly. There we go. Fun shapes. And there's bulge and there's bend. So I will let you guys play with those. Another thing for creating, say, like if we used our sweep command and created a solid vase and we actually wanted it to be hollow inside. So let me just do front, for instance. My shapes keep getting larger. So I'm going to add some curves. Sure, we'll just leave that. And I'm going to place my locus, select both, and choose model sweep. I just want 360. I don't want to pitch. Okay. So it's a little pointy, but we get the point. Now this is a solid. I want to hollow it out inside, so I'm going to use the shell solid. So, and I have no idea the scale of this right now because this is 450 feet. So let's just try 1 foot and see what happens. I'm going to select the face and hit check, and it uniformly shells out, so scoops out inside. So that 1 foot, this is that thickness. It's like we're creating, like if we were actually doing pottery on a throwing wheel, we're creating that thickness throughout that whole solid. Now, and I can see, if I want to fillet my edges, so filleting an edge is going to be a rounded edge and chamfering an edge is going to be a beveled edge. So for instance, I'll do another. If I select the fillet edge, I can see that there's settings and there's this radius and our check mark. So right now, if I go into my settings, I can do a constant radius. I can specify the radius. I can select faces or I can select all edges. They perform differently. I'm going to, right now, I'll leave it on select faces. So I'm going to select this face and hit check mark. What's going to happen is it's going to fillet every edge of this face. So I'm going to hit check mark and I can see it filleted the edge. It didn't do much because this is a huge shape. So I can change this to, say, 5 feet. Select that face, hit the check mark again. All right, I'm going to undo because it's already a filleted edge.
Doesn't like to fillet.
Right.
I hate fillet. It reminds me of fillet. Fillet.
So now I can see my edge there is curved. Now with the chamfer edge, same thing, very similar settings as well. So I can select faces and then actually I want this to be 5 feet. And does some weird things here because this edge is already modified, so it saves the fillet and bevels all the other edges. So I can also go in and select, I'm going to undo all of them. I can also specify and select all edges and all faces. and now it's going to do it every edge. So we can do it that way. Okay, and